watching at the same time, we are here. So thank you for your presence here, whether you're online with us or whether you're here in person. I'm excited to be here. I've enjoyed speaking to people in the morning. I really appreciate the community that we're building, and I really appreciate that there is a community, a spiritual community in Mesa that we can come to learn skills and tools for better living, and that we can create, yes, and that is you. So we can create that, and we can continue to build this community, and we can continue to live joyfully, and we can continue to be the beacon of light that we are. So say that with me. I am a beacon of light.
I am a beacon of light.
Unity of Mesa is a beacon of light.
Unity of Mesa is a beacon of light.
And we celebrate peace within.
We celebrate peace within.
And we celebrate peace in the world.
We celebrate peace in the world.
And we seek to see only peace.
And we seek to see only peace.
Because what we see is what we manifest.
What we see is what we manifest.
So thank you for praying with us today. I don't know, you might not have known you were praying with us, but we are doing prayer, affirmative prayer in a little bit new way this morning so that you can participate. And do you feel differently than you felt when you walked in?
Yes.
Yes, it's working. And let's keep on working it. Hi, Lily. Oh, I didn't tell you. Reverend Mindy is speaking. Jose Andres is singing. Christopher Gallacher is on the piano. Delane was board member of the day. My name is Reverend Nikki Golden, and this is Lily, our ministerial intern, Lily Bob.
Yeah.
It's my turn. I get so excited up here sometimes, and I just don't know what to do. So we are having new members class today after church. We're excited to have new members coming because we have some people who have told us that they're coming. And if you would like to rededicate yourself to Unity of Mesa, this is an opportunity to do just that. And some people have been doing that. And what they share with us afterwards is a new sense of commitment and a new sense of belongingness. Membership allows you to be a part of the annual meeting. You can come to the annual meeting anyway, but it allows you to be a part of the annual meeting in terms of voting for your board members. And your board members are talking to you throughout the year, finding out what you're interested in, what you want. And the board members also hold the consciousness along with the ministers and the prayer chaplains of this, keeping this spiritual community as clear as we can in consciousness. So consider it. Come to new members today and find out. Maybe it's a refresher course for you, and maybe it's like, oh, an aha, I had forgotten about that, and now I'm willing to step back into it.
Certainly. And upcoming is our prosperity class. I will be teaching it for the next 8 weeks, starting next week. We know in Unity that prosperity is our innate birthright. We are always abundantly prospered and divinely blessed. But what stops us from that? Let's go ahead and release that and step into our greater sense of prosperity of who we are.
Yay! I'm open to prosperity. Hold your hands up. I am open to prosperity. And we're also doing the turkey trot on Thanksgiving Day, and I want to let you know that it is perfectly acceptable to walk it, even though it's billed as a run. Reverend Mindy and I are going to be walking it. I have to get some new shoes. I don't think I can do it in my slippers or my sandals. But get some new shoes if you need to, and come and play with us on Thanksgiving Day. What a great way to honor our bodies, which are the temples.
And also, please join us every second and fourth Sunday for meditation. It is part of our spiritual practice in unity, prayer and meditation, to use that truth that we know. So join us every second and fourth Sunday, 9:30 in the Annex building.
Yay! And I'm going to invite you to stand as you are able, and let's sing. I am alive with the Spirit of God. And I want to give you the invitation and the permission, if you need it, to let your bodies move as we sing. And he's going to share how the Spirit of God has been alive within him in his life.
Come all the way to the middle. This way, this way, this way, this way.
This way. Be on camera. Otherwise you're just a body and voice.
Try to be photogenic here. And thank you very much for the invitation to share this intergenerational moment. Those of you who know me know that I've probably been a part of this community now nearly 10 years. And in those 10 years, I'm especially appreciative for the opportunity to serve in a variety of capacities, but most especially as a prayer chaplain. I started on that path with Reverend Judy Hildebrand, and after finishing the course and some practice, was authorized to put on our stole and be able to pray, and I consider it a high honor and privilege to hear your concerns for yourselves, for friends, for family, for whomever, over whatever it is that is on your hearts that needs expression. After all, that's what we do as prayer chaplains. We give voice to your intentions. The beginning of my unity journey started when Reverend Mark Fisk was part of our community. One of the things that he talked about that made quite an impression on me was his discussion of limiting beliefs. He spoke of these as things that we largely impose on ourselves and keep us from developing the fullness and richness that life offers. And what could some of those limiting beliefs be? Well, I thought of one from the Bible. When Jesus speaks to the Pharisees, he says, don't be so concerned about what goes into the mouth of a person. Be more concerned about what comes out. In other words, don't be concerned with dietary laws and the observance of some minutia of practice related to rituals. Be more concerned with the potential harm, the destructive effect that some words may have, slander, all the things that can happen that we can say that are hurtful that we can't really take back once they're said. So in that sense, that was breaking a limiting belief and looking beyond and our need to expand and grow. And what is it that can help us break out of these ruts? After all, if we live a life that is full of regrets, recriminations, and resentments, what kind of life is that? Well, this is where consciousness comes into play. We are gifted with a consciousness and awareness of our environment and who we are. And from that, we can come to the recognition that we have the capacity to change our thoughts, to change our outlook, and to look beyond where we may be stuck now. For example, with me, I can sometimes be saying to myself, why is this happening? Why is this happening to me? Why is this happening to me now? And that can be a horrible rut. But if I absorb fully what I've learned through unity, I can look beyond that and look to change that. But it comes first with an awareness where you are and a vision, if you will, of where you need to be, and then proceed with the changes. We have resources within unity that will help us pursue these changes. And I can just mention very briefly things like affirmations and denials. Denials, for example, to deny the power of limiting beliefs. Affirmations, like we've just heard, to open with confidence the pathways for going forward with changes in our lives. We have prayer, meditation, we have the 12 powers, a whole host of teachings that can enrich our lives. After all, with prayer as a chaplain, I try to use some of these elements in my prayers with others, because after all, we're seeking to empower, enlighten, empower, and energize one another for this fullness that life offers. After all, it was Jesus who said, I came that you may have life, and you may have it more abundantly. Thank you very much for this moment.
Thank you so much for sharing yourself with us as you have. We are short one mic today. We have little mics now for the public.
Hello everyone, good to be here, and for those online, glad you could make it also. We're going to have the children's joy and all people with gladness. One more time. I greet each day with joy and all people with gladness. So the reason we're having this in our youth classes today, we're learning about the laughing Buddha. So we want our kids to get the understanding that life is meant to be enjoyed, and a practice is to just start laughing. So we'll see how that goes. We're going to have a practice of that in our class too. So yeah, we're going to be looking at other ways of expressing creativity in our lives over the
Mortal loneliness. The losses that await us or have come steal like intruders into our sleepless minds. What do I want? The ancient question lurks. Serenity. To bear the heavy load with grace. High spirits to inspire the heart. With song and not alarm the ones I love. Those dreamers who will soon be waking up.
Dicen que por las noches nomás se le iba en puro llorar. Dicen que no comía, nomás se le iba en puro tomar. Juran que el mismo cielo se estremecía al oír su llanto. Cómo sufrió por ella, que hasta en su muerte la fue llamando.
Did you know that Cuckoo Paloma was written in 1954 by Tomas Mendez, and it made its debut in the Mexican comedy. It's such a heartbreaking song. But it was in a Mexican comedy, Escuela de Vagabundos. And then after that, it's appeared in more than half a dozen movies that have become very popular. I think the most recent was Moonlight. It's a song that has been recorded by just about every Hispanic vocalist, Spanish-speaking vocalist on the planet. And in 2019, a man by the name Juan Diego Flores, okay, he recorded it at La Scala in Milan, playing by himself with a guitar. That YouTube has almost 10 million views, but none of them can touch the way that Jose. Mendez had any idea of the impact that that song would have on the people in the world. It's a song, it's about heartbreak. And I think that probably every person on the planet has experienced heartbreak at least once in their lifetime. And when I got to thinking about the song and why it pulls so much, I think that everybody wants to know that they're not the only person going through the experience that they're going through. I think every person on the planet wants to know that there's someone out there who understands misery. There's someone else in the world that has a story that has maybe come to the other side of that misery, and therefore it's something that's outside of ourselves that we can be comforted by. So it's human nature for us to look outside of ourselves when we want to be lifted up. It's our human nature to look outside of ourselves when we want to be comforted and we want to be inspired and we want to be reminded that we're not the only person on the planet. And well, we could substitute whatever word you want for misery. We really could. We could substitute financial setback or diagnosis or any kind of calamity or broken dreams or betrayal. I mean, it's like we could go so deep with our hurt, our universal hurt. But when we hear songs like Cuckoo Cuckoo Paloma, we're invited into, we're transported into another world. Now, Unity teaches that their solution for every problem we have is to go within. So stay with me, because if we're teaching that the solution to the problem is to go within, and it's our human nature to go without, you can see how it's a bit of a conundrum. But I think well, there's many reasons, there's benefits to going without. I mean, psychologically, the benefit to going without is we are taking a positive step to break that grip or break that cycle or break that pattern of misery that we can begin to go down, 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 right? So there's a psychological benefit. But if we look at it spiritually, we recognize that with God, all things are possible. That's Matthew 19:26. With God, all things are possible. So say with me, with God, all things are possible. The way that Unity looks at God is paradoxical. And we say it's paradoxical, and we wrestle with this God paradox, because it's like if God is within, God is immanent, but we also see that God is transcendent. So God is within, and at the same time, God is everywhere present. So the practice that we're invited into in Unity, when we're faced with come into alignment with God mind, come into immersing ourselves fully in that infinite potential, that knowing that with God all things are possible, and then to go out in the world in a way that we're so filled with this felt sense of knowledge that we can recognize we can recognize that God experience out there. So it's like a little dance. Does this make sense to you?
Yes.
Right? Okay. So we go in, we go out. All right? And if you put a little wiggle to it, it's called a salsa. It's called a salsa. There is a very complicated and heartbreaking story in Hebrew scriptures about Abraham and his concubine Hagar. Now, Abraham was promised by this anthropomorphic God, which really means that we're pretending God is a big person in the sky. So he was promised by God that he would be the father of all nations. But the problem was that even as he entered old age, he still didn't have any children. So he and his wife, Sarah, concocted this idea that Abraham should start sleeping with her handmaiden Hagar, because the hope was that at least Hagar could have some kids. Well, don't you know it? Hagar has a son. They named him Ishmael. And as soon as that happens, lo and behold, Sarah has a son herself. They named him Isaac. Now, as soon as Sarah has her son Isaac, she gets really jealous about Hagar. And she tells Abraham, you need to get rid of her. You need to send her away. You need to send her and Ishmael away. So Abraham, being the good husband that he is, sends Hagar and Ishmael out into the desert. And Hagar is heartbroken. And here's how this story is a comfort to us, because pretty soon we're like, that's bad. That's really sad. That hurts. And it hurts because when we've been betrayed, or our heart has been broken, or our dreams haven't come true, it's like when we get sent out into the desert, it feels like it's the end of the world. But here's how the story can be a comfort to us. The story can be a comfort to us because Hagar and Ishmael learned how to thrive in their new environment. And their bloodline continues. And their bloodline continues until the fathering of Muhammad. The Muhammad who started the Islamic nation. So you see, good grows if we let it. Good can grow out of heartbreak. Good can grow out of a diagnosis, out of financial setback, out of broken dreams, or even betrayal. Good can grow if we let it. Let's say that together. Good can grow if we let it. And how do we let it? We go in, we come into alignment with the divine mind, we come so immersed in God ways, so immersed into our full capacity to grow, that when we come back out into the world, we can see it. We can see it. We can do our salsa dance. Quora is a social question and answer online platform that has been in existence for almost 15 years. And I love it because it is online knowledge that provides questions that are not only provocative, but answers that are incredibly and deeply diverse. Has over 300 million hits every month. So they posted this question, and well, I don't know when they posted the question, but the question caught my attention this week. How would you measure an individual's contribution to society? Now, in true Quora fashion, some of the answers were straight out Greek philosophy. They start quoting Epictetus and all these other guys that none of us have ever read. Well, maybe John has because he reads Greek, but most of us have never read, right? And then some of them go straight to hyperbole, like, let me start by saying that there are many, many measures of value for what people contribute to society. Most of these are very subjective and often carry a lot of context, assumptions, blah, 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 blah. But the person who wrote that also said this. He said, people with value increase knowledge and innovate in a way that benefits a large cross-section of society. People who are valued are skilled at getting people to get along with each other. People who are valued express creativity through art, music, and literature as a reminder of our connectedness. So as we complete Hispanic Heritage Month, Hispanic Heritage Month for 2023, I wanted to take an opportunity to look at a number of individuals who embody this kind of value, who bring this kind of value, not only to the Hispanic community, but to the greater community, to our world. One of the things that the United States does very, very well is provide higher education. Our colleges and universities are first rate in the world, and people from all over the world want to come, maybe not for undergraduate, but certainly for graduate school, to learn more, to be with like-minded people, because this is the way to increase knowledge and innovate in a way that benefits everyone. So here are two individuals who came to the United States to study. Carlos Juan Finlay came from Cuba. He came to medical school in Pennsylvania, where he got very interested in germs. His curiosity about germs knew no limits. And when he went home, he went back to Cuba as a doctor. There was a yellow fever epidemic, and he started to realize the reason why there was this contagion of yellow fever that couldn't be traced to any rational source. He began to realize that it was the mosquito that was the transmitter of the disease. And now we know today that the mosquito does carry lots of things that we don't like. All right, Mario Molina came to the United States. He came to get his PhD from the University of California at Berkeley. He then, after he got his PhD, went on to teach and do research at the University of California at Irvine, at MIT, at University of California, San Diego, and the Scripps Institute, but his life work was in chemistry. And what he discovered, and he did it with a partner, the two of them discovered that it was CFCs that were causing holes in our ozone layer. And we needed to be mindful about that, and the two of them were awarded the Nobel Prize for Chemistry. So this is opportunities for intersections and expanding our knowledge and expanding the benefit of innovation in the United States. Now, I can't say, and no, I don't think anybody could say, that the same opportunities at that time were being extended to primary or secondary education in the United States. If you were a Hispanic child in the United States, you went to a segregated school. You went to one that was very different than the better school. So in 1944, Sylvia Mendez, her aunt, took her and her cousins to register them and enroll them at the better school, the one that had the green lawn, the brick building, the individual classrooms, and desks and books for every student. Sylvia's cousins were fair enough. They pulled on the Puerto Rican side. They were fair enough to get in, but Sylvia pulled more to the Mexican part of her roots, and she was too dark. Sylvia's father got a lawyer. In 1944, he got a lawyer and he enrolled the families of 5,000 other Hispanic children, and they created a class action suit against the city of Westminster in California. That lawsuit went all the way to the Ninth Circuit. So what's the whole thing? Anyway, the Ninth Circuit Court, thank you. It went all the way to the Ninth Circuit Court, which then compelled the governor at that time, who was Earl Warren, to desegregate all public schools and public spaces in California. It was a landmark case because someone had a vision and they decided that it was up to them to take action. It was so inspiring. Now, what makes this case even more inspiring is that just 8 years later, another case went all the way to the Supreme Court to be heard, and that was Brown versus the Board of Education. So I know this doesn't sound spiritual, but what an impact it has on our well-being as a greater society. So the Brown versus Board of Education went all the way to the Supreme Court, and in that landmark case, it used this case, Mendez versus Westminster, as the way to justify that segregation based on race was unconstitutional. So we can thank our Hispanic brothers and sisters for their courage to bring that forward, A fun factoid about that whole experience was the governor, Earl Warren, who was the one who was compelled to mandate desegregating schools for Hispanic children. When the case got all the way to the Supreme Court, he was the Chief Justice. Yeah. Isn't that amazing? I'm reminded of one of my favorite affirmations from Abraham, which is all things are working together for our good. All things are working together for our good. Say that with me, please. All things are working together for our good, especially when we practice. Right now, I wish I could perfect that in a way that I felt more confident. The movement, anyway. I'm really mindful and appreciative for the practice of going in and going out and coming back in, because it's really, we have this whole world in our mind that's not always matched by the reality that we live in. But when we know it so perfectly in our mind, we can recognize it and we can be uplifted by it when we see it outside. Hispanic contribution to the arts, all kinds of art, literature, music, dance, theater, screen, everything. We can't even begin to measure it, and I'll just show you a picture of all the people I'm not going to talk about. Visual arts, tattoo arts, cartoon arts, painting, singing, dancing. There's Gloria Estefan, there's Rita Moreno, there's Baby Face, there's like all these people. That's not his name, Baby something from Karate Kid. Anyway, there's all these people, Rita Hayworth. I'm not going to talk about them. I'm going to talk about two who have a very special interest for me. Julia Alvarez is one of them, and Lin-Manuel Miranda is the other. Julia Alvarez has a special inspiration. I can identify with her because I grew up in a culture, I know Hawaii's in the United States, but it is so far removed from what the mainland is like that I grew up in a very different culture. And since moving here, I feel like an immigrant sometimes. I don't understand why people do the things they do. And then I don't understand my own faux pas because I'm just doing what I've always done, which of course is the right thing. Yes! Because I was a perfect little girl. Anyway, Julia Alvarez, I'll tell you a little bit about her story. In 1950, she was born in New York City, but almost immediately her family moved to the Dominican Republic, where her father got involved in politics. 10 years later, he was involved in a failed attempt to overthrow the island's militant dictator, and then they had to flee for their lives, so they moved back to New York City. So when she arrived in New York City, she felt like she had been dropped on another planet, which at 10 years old is really hard to comprehend. But what she recognized was that she had lost her language, she had lost her family connections, she had lost everything that she understood. She felt alienated, she felt discriminated against, she felt the prejudice that existed all around her. If she was a Bible student in any way, she may have identified with Hagar's story, because really pretty much she had been with her mother and father and older sibling just thrown into the desert. And yet she learned how to thrive. She has written adult fiction. She has written nonfiction. She has written young adult fiction. She has written children's books. She is like the Energizer Bunny at 73. She is still doing interviews. She's still doing podcasts. She is still teaching. She is still doing everything that she was created to do, to be a blessing to the world. In her book, How the Garcia Girls Lost Their Accent, she talks about raising consciousness. Now, she's not a unity minister, but she talks like a unity minister. She says, without an inner awareness of our infinite capacity for good, raising consciousness would be like trying for cathedral ceilings in a tunnel. So when John talks about limiting beliefs, we have to go in, to go out, to know what our limiting beliefs are. We have to learn how to find our own inner rhythm. The other person that I want to talk about, because I identify he's also one of my heroes, is Lin-Manuel Miranda. He's of Puerto Rican descent. He also grew up in New York City. He has written Disney music. He wrote the music for Moana, for Encanto. Some of the music he collaborated for Little Mermaid. He is this unbelievable genius. And I'll tell you, the reason why I identify with him is because in a future life, I'm going to sing and dance and write music like he does. When he was in college, he got this idea to tell the story about his multicultural neighborhood when he was growing up. And that story that he started to write with the music eventually debuted on Broadway as In the Heights in 2008. And while that show was running, he was invited to perform a rap poem at the White House at a night of poetry and music and literary arts. So he goes to the White House and he performs this rap that he kind of just wrote down on the back of an envelope, but that's not really how he did it. But I mean, it was so innate and spontaneous for him. It ended up that it was so well received, this rap piece that he put together, that he spent the entire next year rewriting and reworking every word so that he could capture the complexity of Alexander Hamilton's intellect. Later, Hamilton debuts on Broadway. So good. So here from the rap, it's, I'm just like my country, I'm young, scrappy, and hungry, and I'm not throwing away my shot. Not throwing away my shot. We are beloved expressions of God. We, each of us, is here for a holy purpose. We are at the right place, at the right time, right now, to be the blessing that we were created to be for the world. Each and every one of us has a holy purpose. It's what comes, I don't know how you feel it, but for me, I feel it like coming up from the earth, and then I get all tingly right there, like I've been working too hard doing the salsa, but I get all tingly in my thighs, or maybe yoga. Anyway, it's like you know what is yours to do in the world. You know at some level that you are a magnificent blessing for the world. And I invite you to be inspired, to be uplifted by some of these amazing people I talked about today. Some of the amazing people that you already know who they are in the world. I invite you to be uplifted by them so that you don't throw away your shot either.
Amen.
So, take a breath. And let's get ready to come into a time of meditation. Because this kind of expanded thinking, this kind of expanded knowledge, this kind of expanded awareness it can create upper limits. It can create roadblocks. It can create more events going on in our life that feel like obstacles. It's sort of like, yeah, I know I'm meant to be a blessing in the world, but it creates the buts. It creates the limited thinking. It creates that tunnel vision when in reality, we have cathedral ceilings in our blood. So let's sing about being a blessing to the world as we come into this integrative time of meditation. I am the heart, I am the hands, I am the voice of spirit on earth, and who I am, and all I do is a blessing to the world. You are the heart, you are the hands, you are the voice of spirit on earth, and who you are, and all you do is a blessing to the world. We are the heart, we are the hands, we are the voice of spirit on earth, and who we are, and all we do is a blessing to the world. Taking a breath in and out, we allow our new way of being to come home to itself, to come home to God, to come home to the truth that we are one with infinite potential, that we are one with God mind, we are one with every divine idea ever conceived, that it is in our bloodline to be magnificent. And regardless of the heartbreak, regardless of the diagnosis or the financial setback or the shattered dreams, we know that we can get back on course. And we know that so deeply in our heart that we can see it in others. Others thriving in their life, thriving as they express their holy purpose, thriving in a way that invites us to do the same. So now in meditation, while we go in, we are also exquisitely aware of the presence of God out there. Good grows if we let it. With God, all things are possible. And now we sit in the holy and sacred silence. As we come back to this time, this place, we recognize an affirmation as a lifeline to bring us back up into our world, knowing that all things are working together for our good. All things are working together for our good. Say it in your mind. All things are working together for our good. And then say it in your own voice. Add the power of your resonance. All things are working together for our good. A little bit louder. All things are working together for our good. When we think of everything that's going on in the world, somehow we are going to remember that all things are working out for our good. So it is, and so we let it be. Amen and amen.
I brought with me today the daily word. Any of you that know me, I was really attracted to the daily word because this month it has balls of yarn. And in our group, we met Thursday and we shared balls of yarn. And I am just so grateful for that. And that's one of the first things that I did coming to Unity of Mesa. I started the prayer shawl ministry, and in that, as being a volunteer, I found so many other possibilities of being able to do things here. And I grew into abundance and prosperity. And I want to say from the daily word for today, the abundance of the world flows through me. I am securely in the flow of prosperity. When I receive graciously and gratefully, I share in my abundance of generosity. We are thankful. We're so abundantly grateful to you as you give and share your your many gifts. And see, you are the one to say that. You know, you say, okay, gifts. So the ways in which we can do that here at Unity of Mesa. First, I have mine with me, and that is I go to the website and I share our tithing through
Banco.
Banco. I was losing my words today. So online you can do that, and on an app you can also get in the app and determine what you want to do. And one of the things that I have been doing since we had the Growing Up Tomorrow, isn't it? Creating Tomorrow, is I just decided to just leave that there to keep that going since it's been planned for that. And then today in person, or you can go ahead and mail to the church and someone will go out and get it for you, okay? And so we now share in the affirmation.
Divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And so it is. Thank you, ushers, for coming forward. As a community, as a spiritual community, we bless your generosity by saying, we are one with the opulence of God. We are now in the flow of infinite abundance, and we give thanks for the prosperity that is ours by divine right. You're on, Lily.
Please join us for hospitality outside in the courtyard. We'd love to continue to connect with you and with each other. Also, Unity was founded on prayer, and we would love to pray with you. Will our prayer chaplains who are serving today please stand?
We have John, we have, oh my gosh, Audrey and Jim. I'm still out of breath from dancing. We which you didn't get to see online, so that's okay.
They will each be happy to pray with you, whether it's a concern or just to rejoice or to thank you for dancing or thank you for our spiritual community or whatever you would like to celebrate. So please join them in prayer. Feel free to do so. And also we have our prayer box as well. If you feel the need to go ahead and put your prayer intention in the box as well, and they'll be happy to pray with you for the next 30 days, and we send it off to Silent Unity for another 30 days of strong prayer.
All right. Salsa. If you are really in the mood for salsa and you are not yet a member of Unity of Mesa, you please join us for new members. It's in the classroom right out here at 11:45. If you want to rededicate your membership, it's in the classroom at 11:45. And then we'll have new members on November 5th. So, can't think of another single thing to say other than we're now going to dance down the aisle. Again, online, but you will get to hear us.